Hello, welcome back to the MotoGP Podcast, and we're here to talk about, yes, the breaking news of the week. Toprak Razgatlioglu finally confirmed to be a MotoGP for 2026 with Pramac Yamaha. It's exciting stuff, and here to talk about it is myself and Pete McLaren. And Pete, we've talked about it for a couple of months now. It's always been speculated, but it's happened, and yeah, what's your feeling on it? Do you think that it's a good move in terms for Toprak? It was seemingly now or never for his career, that in terms of age and just ambition, it's the best time to do it. And also, what do you think it means for Yamaha's intention? Because Paulo Pavesio has been seemingly very, very instrumental in getting this move done.
Yeah, it's finally happening, isn't it? Yeah, as you say, we've spoken about it for months in the case of this latest deal with Pramac, and is it going to happen or not? And really years, isn't it? Going back, Toprak's been linked one way or another with MotoGP. So yeah. But I mean, personally, I think it's great that he's gonna give it a go. You know, there's been great World Superbike riders that we've seen that haven't had a proper shot at MotoGP, as in a full year campaign. I'm thinking guys like Johnny Ray, obviously, and even further back, Carl Fogarty. You know, people like that. Now we're getting a multi-time World Superbike champion who's going to come in on a factory spec Yamaha. Obviously the timing is a little bit out in the sense of the Pirelli tyres are not coming in until 27. He obviously knows them very well from Superbike, but that's got to be something on the mind of everybody. I think that tyres being so important to the riders, that he is someone who knows the Pirellis. They will change. There won't be Superbike tyres in MotoGP. They'll have to be a lot stiffer. But you don't. What we hear anyway, all the riders tell us, every tyre manufacturer has a character.
Profile.
They have a way of making the tyres, and it's expected that character will continue through. The Pirellis, from what I hear, is pretty neutral. There's not. We talk about the Michelin rear. We talk about the Bridgestone front. It sounds like Pirelli. It's pretty balanced between the front and the rear, but they definitely have their own style, their own character. And Toprak, as we see these days, knows exactly how to get the lap times and the speed from them. Let's hope in 27 we'll see him doing his stoppies and everything else again. That will still be possible. But before then, he's 26 at the moment. I think. We're just talking about, is it a 1 year deal? Is it a 2 year deal? I think officially it seems to be a 1 year deal, but you've got to imagine that there's options, very strong options for the second year of the deal, which would be the 850 era, the Pirelli tyres, etc., etc. What bike will he ride next year? I mean, probably, it sounds like Yamaha will want to introduce the V4 if everything goes well. It sounds like that's the sort of the ideal scenario, should we say, is that they're running the inline engine this year. They'll move to the V4, and then obviously the 850 for 27. Moving into Pramac, but you've got to imagine that Toprak will be doing all he can to get his crew chief Phil Marin across with him, and I think there's a good chance he'll be able to do that. They won't want to break up that partnership that's been so successful, will they?
Yeah.
And so if Yamaha can engineer that, and Toprak and get that team to go with him, that will be another major boost for Toprak in making the move. And just really, I really, it's impossible to say how somebody will go. I think when they get onto a MotoGP bike, we've seen that, haven't we? Even with rookies coming from Moto2, guys that didn't like the world up in Moto2, and then are on fire when they get to MotoGP, and vice versa. You can never really predict until someone gets on the bike. So we know that the Yamaha test didn't go that well for Toprak previously, but Paulo Pavesio, as you mentioned, clearly believes a lot in Toprak and his talent. And let's see what he can do next year in MotoGP. Sounds like he'll be on the bike. Obviously, testing starts end of Valencia, the official post-season test, but World Superbike season ends before that, doesn't it? So let's see how many tests he can get in and this year, and prepare. Obviously, with concessions, he will be able to have more tests, won't he, as things stand, depending on if results for Yamaha, but potentially he'll be able to do a lot of private testing as well, which will also help him.
Yeah, absolutely. There's as you say, there's a few things in there with Toprak. Phil Marin obviously comes with MotoGP experience with Eugene Laverty and stuff, so it's not like he's going in there blind. Yeah, it's been a few years since he's been in that paddock, but I think that partnership that they have is something that Yamaha wouldn't want to break up, because, like I say, they won World Superbike titles with Yamaha and BMW, so it's like, why would you break that up? And Toprak's very sort of knitted with his crew. The bike spec's a good thing with Toprak in terms of, has he seen the promise of Yamaha's project? As you say, the V4 ironically comes out in social media this week as well. You hear what it sounds like for the first time, and Dovy's been testing it at Barcelona. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of excitement, and even some little things. People have been like asking us on social media, what number is he going to be? It's like, well, I don't know, because obviously Fermin Aldegar has the number 54, and I don't think he's going to give it up. And yeah, Toprak's been pestered about what number he's going to use this week already. It's exciting, isn't it? Because we talked about the riders that have made the move across, and he'd be the first champion since Ben Spies to move across. That's it's a good thing, isn't it, for the crossover, in terms of you're a World Superbike champion, but then you become a MotoGP rookie. It must be an odd sensation, that, because you're essentially in the, how could I say, if you look at the pecking order, World Superbike's like there, MotoGP's there. The gap's quite close in terms of, obviously, displacement with machinery being 1000cc, but they're so different, aren't they, in the sense of prototype versus, you can buy this in the shop sort of thing.
They are, yeah, and I suppose that's the other side of it. Is if you're a big World Superbike fan, and a lot of us love watching that when the MotoGP's not on, you are going to feel a bit sorry to not see Toprak in World Superbike. But of course, it'll leave room for these next generation coming through there to make their mark. But yeah, it is always strange when you get guys that are multi-champions in Superbike, and you come to MotoGP and they're officially down as a rookie. And, yeah, going back to guys like obviously Bayliss and Edwards when they came and things like that. So it'd be great to see. As I say, I think it's a boost for MotoGP, certainly, the sport. It raises questions that we'll come on to, doesn't it, about the Yamaha lineup? But I think for Toprak, it's, as you said in your intro there, it's getting to the point in his career where it's now or never. And I think it's great that that he's gonna try it and see how it works out. As I say, it's you can never predict how things will go, but he's going to go for it and see what he can do, and I think it's going to be great to watch.
Yeah, how do you think the adaptation is for someone in terms of like a World Superbike rider to MotoGP? It's very different, isn't it, from the Moto2 step? I always think, because you were in the same paddock, and I think, I'm just using Manu Gonzalez here, obviously, recently tested MotoGP, but then he goes back to, I think he was in Barcelona 2 testing on Wednesday in Moto2. It must be a very different thing for a World Superbike rider to just jump on something that's completely alien, isn't it?
Yes, and normally the tyres are the biggest thing, as we've said, and so that's going to be quite strange, because Toprak's going to have to adapt to Michelin's that you'll only use for one season, and then the Pirellis will come in. So it'll almost be, well, he's got to adapt, but not forget everything from where he's come, because he'll want to pull that out of the bag for the following year. So, and obviously they'll be testing next year for the 27 bikes with the Pirellis. So, it's going to be a strange one to sort of adapt, but at the same time not forget what you've learned. Whereas normally, if you move up, as you're saying, if you move up from Moto2 or something, you're never intending to go back to that. So you've literally got to forget everything that you might have learned there. It's always interesting when guys come up from Moto2 anyway, especially sometimes they can be very fast, but the way that they make the speed kind of changes. Normally they start off using a lot of corner speed, which is quite risky sometimes, to get the lap time, and then you see them sort of evolve their style, and they learn to get the speed more coming out of the corners and things like that, rather than running wide lines to the edge of the track, that kind of thing. Coming from Superbike, of course, you're already used to that big bike style, but the Superbike is a lot softer, that kind of thing. There's obviously the aero, there's the ride height devices in MotoGP, the carbon brakes, all of those things to get used to. Toprak's shown by moving, changing from the Yamaha to the BMW and instantly being quick, that he is a versatile rider, and that's the key, really, isn't it? In any of these changes, whether you're changing championships or you're changing, as we say in the future, tyre supplier, that ability to be versatile, we're seeing it play into Mark's hands this year on the Ducati, isn't it? Where you've got a bike that you have to ride it in a certain way, or you have to change. Some riders can do that, others take longer. But I think, as I say, Toprak's shown he can do that. He can adapt by moving from these different bikes in Superbike and being really quick on the BMW straight away. So if you can do that again, it's a good sign for MotoGP.
Yeah, I completely agree. And just to let people know, this isn't Toprak's first time in the MotoGP paddock as such. He was a Red Bull rookie. Now, I know that's, you're very loosely in the paddock there, but you still have the people he raced against. You look at the class, he had Jorge Martin, Joan Mir, he had plenty of people he was up, so he's in that age bracket where you think, yeah, he actually kind of fits into the MotoGP paddock in that class, because there's so many people he raced against. So it almost feels like he's already been a MotoGP rider in that sense, because he's so talented and he's so accomplished in World Superbike. The move across doesn't feel like, how could I say, from years ago with like Bayliss and stuff, because they were slightly older and they'd went through so different many routes. Like the British Superbike through the World Superbike then into MotoGP. I think Toprak kind of feels like he's already going to come in and instantly bring all that fan base that he has from World Superbike. Because I arguably say he's one of the most popular riders in the world, regardless of what class he races in. So yeah, and does this open up an opportunity, Pete, for Turkey to try and maybe get a race on the calendar again? Because Istanbul Park was pretty spectacular, to be honest, for a MotoGP track. The last time we were there was 2007. Do you think this is something that Dorna have looked at and went, well, there's a possibility we can get that back?
Let's hope so, as you say, because it was a great track, wasn't it? Yeah, some great races there, and I'm sure if Toprak being in MotoGP, it would just sell the place out. So yeah, I mean, if ever there was a chance to do that, then I think Toprak coming in, and Liberty, we're expecting that deal to be officially confirmed pretty much imminently, aren't we? So I'm sure they'll be looking at that as well. They're looking at growing the sport, and that's the obvious place. I mean, you only have to see the fan base that Toprak has all around the world. He brings a lot, and it'd be great to have Turkey back. As you say, that track was awesome. Some great races there. Guys like Casey Stoner making their names a bit, wasn't it, in his early MotoGP years? So yeah, let's hope so. I think that he did race there, did he? Oh no, Kenan Sofoglu, sorry.
Kenan did,
before his time, wasn't it? And that was when Kenan was in Supersport, wasn't it? And the Supersport race was the biggest one of the day because everyone had come to see Kenan. Kenan obviously is Toprak's manager, and he's been negotiating. He's been pushing hard, hasn't he, over the years? People saying, MotoGP rider. Keenan's always been quite firm, from his own experience in Moto2. He didn't have the easiest time, did he, of saying that he wanted a factory team. So, this is the first, they have had to compromise a bit on that. It's obviously not a full factory team, but other than the name, if you like, everything else is full factory at Pramac. So I think that's, it fits the bill in that respect. Toprak is going to have the very best equipment that Yamaha has. And, it's a bike that we've seen on pole position this year, on podiums. Could have won at Silverstone. So
should have won at Silverstone.
That's the word. Yeah, that's a better way of putting it. So yeah, he's getting on a bike that, and really all the bikes now. There's no bad bikes in MotoGP, is there? Every manufacturer has a rider at this stage in the season already who's capable of challenging for the podium. A couple of riders that could be top 6 on their day. So yeah, it's all there for Toprak, I think, to have a chance to show what he can do. So let's wait and see how he gets on with the M1, how he gets on with the V4 M1 even, let's say. Be very interesting.
Absolutely. And I think little things with Toprak joining Pramac, gets to keep his Red Bull sponsorship. And he also, this is so stupid, it's the little things I look at, he gets to keep his Denisi sponsor, no problem, because their team clothing's all Denisi gear. It's an easy fit, and it's just, as you say, Pete, it's not the factory, but it essentially is, because they get the full works, and that's what he's going to have. And I think we'll look at who's going to be his teammate. I know it's really difficult to talk about it because there's so many different things you hear, but yeah, Yamaha, they said at the end of that statement that the rider lineup for 26 will be announced in due course. Miguel Oliveira has a 2-year deal. That we know that from the statements and the press releases. Nothing's been confirmed yet. Is there a clause in there that gets him out of this deal, that Yamaha can move him on? Are they going to keep Jack Miller? Likely, I think they will keep Miller. Or are they going to look at someone else outside of that and essentially promote 2 new riders into the Pramac team? It's a interesting time for that second seat, isn't it?
It is definitely, as you say, in theory, it should have been a non-conversation almost, because Miguel Oliveira was announced on a 2-year deal, in which case Toprak would be his teammate. He would replace Miller, who was only on a 1-year deal, and that would be that. But as is quite clear, I mean, it'd been rumoured for a while, but as you say, the official press release makes clear that, in due course. So that means they haven't made a decision. It means that there is a chance that Oliveira will leave, which again gives Miller a chance of staying, as you quite rightly say. There's also a bit of rumours about Manuel Gonzalez, another former Yamaha rider, a bit like Toprak, that maybe they want to bring in. But yeah, I think personally, at least, I think Jack Miller has done a great job. He's second in the championship, as far as second best Yamaha in the championship, I should say. Even though his race results haven't really been that great, his pace has been better than his race results, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say. Yep. He's the only guy who's really shown the kind of flashes of speed that Quartararo has shown, isn't it? And he brings a lot of experience to the project from his other factory team rides and things like that. And that's, I think for me, Gonzalez did a great job, didn't he, at the test on Monday for Trackhouse, we should say, obviously on the Aprilia, this surprise sort of debut that he got. Did a very decent job, for somebody just jumping on the bike with no experience at all. But when you add in this, the development of the V4 going on, then the development of the 850cc bike and things like that, I think you want guys with experience to iron out any issues and help you iron out any issues. Let's remember, Quartararo's only ever ridden a Yamaha. Toprak is coming in, as we've just said, a rookie technically. So there's two guys who won't have experience of any other bikes, and then you've got Rins, who's again is confirmed for next year, so he's got some experience of the Honda and the Suzuki. But yeah, having Jack and Ducati, KTM, Honda, that experience, we know that he's helped his previous teams technically with things like the electronics, the strategy, as they call it, the way to make the electronics work. He's obviously not in there changing the numbers, but he gives them ideas of how the overall sort of philosophy of the electronics should be. And that's something that's going on at Yamaha even now. We saw Quartararo struggling with the electronics, didn't we, at the weekend? So they're still working on electronics and those kind of things at Yamaha. And yeah, they'll have to do that again with the V4. They're going to have to do that again with an 850. So I think with that in mind, yeah, for me anyway, I'd go with Jack's experience combined with his speed. And as I say, if you just look at the championship, the order of the 4 Yamaha riders in the championship, he's the second best guy. So, and I suppose we throw in as well, he's off to Suzuka for Yamaha, isn't he? Which is also will be seen as a, Yamaha will appreciate that he's basically giving up his summer break to go and help them in one of the biggest races of the year for them. So there's a lot of things I think in Jack's favour at the moment, even if on paper, if we were to look at it, he's the guy whose contract is up and Oliveira isn't. But the statement, as you say, makes clear that it's all up for grabs still. So we'll have to wait and see. I think, no decision yet. Let's wait and see how long they're going to wait before they do announce the second rider.
Yeah, it came as a surprise actually, just regarding the Toprak news, that it came as early as it did, because we were thinking it'd be next week. But I also think that now they can, like you say, the next 4 out of the 5 weekends ahead we've got races. So is this the time, as you say, Pete, for them to sit down, evaluate and go, right, we want to get this done before the summer break. This is who Toprak's teammate's going to be. We've got a big enough sample size now over the next 5 weekends to go, right, we can see here who our guy's going to be. Yeah, I agree with you completely. I think that Miller's the person I would take in terms of just an experience standpoint. And in terms of, he knows the Pramac team, he's been there previously, he's fiddled in straight away again. Oliveira, I don't think has gelled as well as I would have thought. Yes, injuries came into that. And it's kind of a story of what happened to him at Aprilia as well, with the Trackhouse and the RNF sort of side. It's kind of continuing on, and I think that, Oliveira, I don't think has shown enough, to be honest. He was even beaten by Augusto Fernandez at the weekend in Aragon. I think, is that a telling sign? Yamaha are just thinking, well, hang on here. Let's not all automatically jump into a second year, because they might want to reevaluate. Yeah, Miller would be my guy. I would take to put alongside Toprak, and that would be a pretty fun team as well, wouldn't it? Toprak and Jack. I imagine those debriefs and those social media videos would be quite good, seeing those two together. And I suppose the last thing is, I want just to focus on Toprak. What do you think his expectation is? I know it's very far out. Do you think he's going to come in thinking, I've got the talent to match these guys, or do you think he's going to come in and just play it very sort of, how can I say, he wants to be under the radar? That's the best way for a rookie, isn't it? But it's hard to be under the radar when you're Toprak, who's coming in off so much success, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think this is actually where his tough previous tests, if we call it that, with Yamaha might stand him in good stead, because he's not going in having not tried a MotoGP bike. He knows how hard it is to do those fast lap times. The lap times that the other top riders are doing on the MotoGP bikes now. He was there testing it. He was alongside Cal, wasn't he? But there were other riders at the private test he was doing. So he's not under any illusions of just walking in and everything being easy, because he knows how difficult it is. And so I think that's a good thing, because he knows how difficult it is and he's still willing to go for it. So I think his mindset will be, I'm going to have to, it's not going to be easy here. I'm going to have to work He will have thought about the issues that he was having previously with the bike. How can he correct that, make it better? The bike itself has obviously got better. We should say that, hasn't it? They've obviously had concessions. They've been developing the Yamaha, everything else. It's a better bike than it was a year ago when he was testing it. But he knows that it's not just going to be a walk in the park, doesn't he? So I think the fact that he signed up knowing that there's going to be work to do, and I don't think he's under any illusions as to how tough it'll be in MotoGP against guys like Marc Marquez on the Ducati, Pecco Bagnaia, Jorge Martin, wherever he may be, the proven world champions on the grid. You've got the other manufacturers also coming up, so it's not you're not clearly signing. In the past, if you signed for a manufacturer, you could sort of see where you'd be in the timesheets, couldn't you? Say, well, the manufacturer is sort of 4th to 8th or something, and it's not the top one, but at the moment they're all mixing around, aren't they? One minute, as we've seen with Quartararo, one minute he's fighting for pole positions and race wins, and the next minute he's at Aragon and having a tough time again. So it's really difficult to know where you're going to be if you're on anything other than the Ducati. That's really the only surefire way of knowing that you can expect to be fighting for the top 6 every weekend, even as a rookie, as Aldiger has shown. So I think he's not going to be under any illusions. You make the point previously, the good point about Phil Marin, his experience as well. So he's there to advise him. He knows, what it's like to be not on the best bikes in MotoGP when they were on the satellite Ducatis at Aspar. Yeah. And we should also say Gino Borsoi was there. So
that's right.
Who's now team manager at Pramac. So that would be, another relationship that is already well known, well proven. They get on great. So I think team wise, there won't be any issues there. It's just going to be the pure competition level in MotoGP. That's the biggest thing, isn't it? And just the level that all these guys ride at.
Absolutely, I can't wait for this. To be honest, I can't wait for the Valencia test now to see him. It's going to be great. So it is. It'll be really exciting, and I think fans should be really excited by it because, he's a ready-made star, and I think it benefits MotoGP so much, and I can't wait to see how he gets on. So if you enjoyed this podcast, like, subscribe, let us know your thoughts in the comments. I know a lot of you were very excited about Toprak on social media. I loved reading them because people just get really excited by it. Like a big sort of transfer stories like this as you get in football. It's probably the biggest that we've seen in MotoGP for a while. So I think that I can't wait for testing, can't wait for 2026. And if you enjoyed this, leave a review on Apple or Spotify. We're making great gains there. I keep seeing a lot of 5-star reviews. I really appreciate that. And same with this episode. If you can do that, it'd be greatly appreciated. And we'll see you in the next one.